can see, I'm not that all great with video games, but that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate them. You see, I am one to appreciate old retro vintage games. I would play something such as Tetris or SSX Tricky. So yeah, I enjoy many games, retro and even modern. But one game that does come to mind when I talk about games really is the kind of iconic game symbol that really doesn't take much of a character design, and that's Pac-Man. Yes, the golden age of arcade games were brought out in the late 70s to early 80s that revolutionized the gaming industry. From the release of shooter games such as Space Invaders in 1978, Galaxian and Asteroid in 1979, and most famously, the 1980s maze game, Pac-Man. Pac-Man is one of the most iconic video games in history. Created by Japanese game designer Toru Iwatani and released by Namco in 1980. It marked a shift in the video game industry as it deviated from the typical space-themed shooters of the time. Toru Iwatani, the game's creator, wanted to design a game that appealed to women as well as men, breaking away from the violent, competitive themes of games like Space Invaders and Asteroids. He was inspired by the image of a pizza with a mixing slice, which led to the character design of Pac-Man, a yellow circular figure. The original working title for the game was Pac-Man, derived from the Japanese word puck, meaning to bite. However, fearing the name could be altered to something inappropriate in English, if you know what I'm talking about, it was changed to Pac-Man. Released in Japan in May of 1980, Pac-Man quickly gained popularity and was introduced to the US in October of the same year. The game was groundbreaking for its time. It was one of the first to feature a non-violent maze chase gameplay format, where players controlled Pac-Man as he navigated a maze, eating pellets while avoiding colorful ghosts, Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde. Why he's named Clyde, we don't know. The game became a cultural phenomenon, appealing to both men and women, drawing in players of all ages. Pac-Man was a commercial success, grossing over $1 billion in quarters in the US alone during its early years. By the end of 1981, it became the highest grossing video game of all time. The game's success led to a variety of spin-offs, including merchandise, an animated TV series, and even a Pac-Man cereal. There was also a sequel, Miss Pac-Man, which was released in 1981 and became equally popular. Now that surprised me because I've never heard of Mrs. Pac-Man in my life. Pac-Man also helped spark the arcade golden age, influencing countless other video games in the early 80s. As home gaming consoles became popular in the 80s and 90s, Pac-Man was ported to various systems, including the Atari 2600. And it became a key part to video game culture in households and around the world. Over the decades, Pac-Man has been re-released on various platforms, from arcade machines to modern consoles and mobile games, ensuring its longevity. The Pac-Man character is one of the most recognizable figures in gaming history. It influenced pop culture with references on music, TV, and even fashion world. The game's simplistic but addictive gameplay style was revolutionary, influencing future game designs and creating a blueprint for countless maze chase games that followed. The video game crash of 1983, known in Japan as the Atari Shock, was a large-scale recession in the video game industry that occurred from 1983 to 1985 in the United States. Several factors contributed to the crash, including the market oversaturation with too many consoles, a flood of poor quality and unlicensed games, and a general loss of faith among consumers. One infamous example was the rushed and poorly received E.T. the Extraterrestrial game for the Atari, which is often cited as a symbol of the era's mismanagement. But thankfully, there was one console that made people have their trust again in the gaming industry and in consoles itself, and that is the emergence of the NES. It emerged in 1985, which introduced a new standard for video game quality, branding, and marketing. This revival established consumer trust and laid the foundation for the modern video game industry. So enter the Nintendo seal of quality, the golden badge on every NES game box. It was more than just a logo. It was Nintendo saying that they have the quality that consumers were looking for. But we're gonna save all that for a Nintendo video later on. And as we're seeing the entertainment industry turning all these video games into TV series and to movies, hopefully we get to see a Pac-Man resurgence in going into those other forms of entertainment as well. Guys, what do you guys think of this video? Comment down below. I want to hear your favorite video game, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!